Yeah. Although he was oh, really? Yeah. Cool. Yeah, he's from White Lake. He stayed 7 years. I don't know which ones for a while.
I bring that up.
I guess.
Like give you some points, really.
Good evening, everybody. It is November 13th at 6 p.m. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Will everyone rise for pledge of allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for joining us, and we have full council tonight, so thank you all for taking time out to come tonight as well. First on the agenda is adopting the agenda. So I'll need a motion and a second to adopt tonight's agenda.
I'll make a motion to adopt tonight's agenda as written.
I have some things I'd like to pull off for discussion on the agenda.
Okay.
If I can do that, bring that up now anyway.
Sure.
And some of this might be answered. Page 112 in the packet. It's a withholding confirmation from Minnesota Electronic Services. And I guess I'm not sure what that pertains to. It's one of the CUPs or?
But I assumed it was part of the submission
Thank you, by the way, to whoever numbered these. That was so great. I mean, just thank you, Michelle. Really, that's huge.
Yeah, this looks like it's part of the conditional use permit.
It is,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and that was submitted by the applicant
All right.
as part of his supporting documents of his
Okay.
application.
Okay, I didn't see that in the other one, but, or in any of the others, so it just kind of stuck out.
Right.
I do have another request. The request is to move number 4 from old business to new business.
So, the set special meeting date,
Right.
you want it under new business?
Right, I looked through past agendas and I didn't see it anywhere. This is like the first time it's appeared, so I would assume it would go under new business, not old business.
Okay. So we'll move it to number 15.
And I would like to pull the August 14th meeting minutes for discussion, as well as the approval and claims for payroll, specifically page 13.
We'll do the minutes when we get to them, before we
Okay.
approve them, so just make sure when we second to approve, we can discuss the minutes.
Okay,
And then page 13, we need.
14 minutes.
so the meeting minutes are not part of the consent agenda, the August.
We're not doing the consent yet, we're just doing the regular. agenda.
Okay.
Yep. We've kind of separated them, just so.
Okay, no, that's my mistake, I appreciate that, I can make these requests when we get to that point.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right, any other questions on tonight's agenda? So we're gonna move number 4 on old business to 15 and new business. And then we'll discuss the minutes and then page 13 as well when we get there in just a moment. So do I have a second of adopting the agenda tonight with the change that we've made?
I'll make the motion.
All right, All
Wait
those
a second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, now let's move on to the adoption of the consent agenda. And we do have some questions on page 13 with that as well. So I need a second, or a motion and a second on that, and we can discuss page 13.
I'll make the motion for adopting the consent agenda.
I'll second.
No worries. We can discuss page 13, Troy, then.
Okay. So I had some questions on page 13 expenditure budget report. I took the 2023 budget, what we budgeted, and then I subtracted the year-to-date amount of 123,024. My calculations differ from the balance that is currently there. Currently, the balance is a negative 35,1850. So we've overspent that budget by 102%. Now, when I do the calculations, I get 4,668 if I subtract the 2023 budget from the year-to-date amount.
Are you talking about the administrative fund?
I'm talking about the administrative, yes, wages and salaries.
Okay.
The other discrepancy I had was the para. There, when I did the calculations, subtracting the 6882 from the 9578, I get 2695.64. Couple $100, but there is a difference there. And then I also wanted to point out office supplies. I get a negative balance of 1304.26, not 2023.62. Postage, I get a difference. I get 132.02, not 61.08, so we're talking about $70 there. And then repairs, machinery and equipment, I get 407.09, not 367.81, about 100. And the reason I bring these up is because when I go through some others, like workers' comp, that's correct. Training and instruction is correct, actually taking the 2023 budget, subtracting year-to-date. Telephone's correct. Dues, subscriptions, and books is correct, and new equipment is correct. Now, that's just under administration. So I just wanted to point this out and bring it up to your legal fees. Okay, let's go down to legal fees on page 15. That's the only other one I guess I want to point out. Originally, I got negative 2,800 when I subtracted the 2023 budget from year-to-date balance. However, in this case, when I add in the month-to-date, so I add in the current month to the year-to-date balance, then it balances out. So in this case, the month-to-date was added in to the balance, and that balances. So. And my only point is just to bring that up and invite the rest of the council if they want to make any comments on that or discussion before we just go and approve it without talking about this. Consider we're going through a budget process ourselves right now.
Yeah, I can make a comment on that too. I did notice that the administrative fund, the balance is at the bottom. Even if you just look at the total amounts, the 159,260, and the year-to-date amount, that's not correct. I went through the other ones. I didn't notice any errors on the bottom line, where we're at from a balance perspective when I totaled and did the subtraction, but the administrative one for some reason was not calculating correctly. I was gonna ask Mary about it today, I just never had an opportunity to try to get an answer on that.
I'm not gonna ask Michelle to explain any of it, but can we make a note to work with Mary on that, and then if we need help, let's go ahead and reach out to Abdo too and find out if Brad can help you figure that one out too, just for us going forward. Thank you for catching that, Troy.
Yeah, I just it'd be beneficial if we had some uniformity in the, you know, in the calculations. And the thing that concerned me, of course, was the salaries. At this point.
And I believe that this is the first time we've had this style of report in our packet. It was very helpful to me. It was more like what I'm used to, having budgeted responsibility for business operations. So it's very helpful as compared to what the other packets previously had contained. So I appreciate whoever's idea that was to include this.
So when we get an answer, can you send an email out to council, and then we'll share it at our next meeting too,
Okay.
where we were at. Anything else anybody wants to discuss? Questions?
Did you have anything with page 13 either?
What's that?
No.
No, I saw the bottom
Okay.
totals when I looked at them, but I didn't go line through it.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't. So, thank you for catching that. Any questions? No? All right. All right, well, let's go ahead and approve the consent agenda per getting information for page 13 from Mary, and we'll send that out to council.
And then I did have a question on the meeting minutes. Would that be, is that consent agenda as well, or?
Meeting minutes, are you talking about council meeting minutes or?
No,
of our-
the approval of August 14th meeting minutes.
Yeah, we can discuss it.
Okay.
Yep.
Put that on?
Yep.
All right. So this is the August 14th meeting minutes that we're approving tonight. And I did go to the website to look and see how many minutes we have posted and available to the public. For the year of 2023, we have February, March, and April. And now we have August. So I was kind of asking myself, why now? You know, why August? So I looked at them a little bit, and I went down to page 39 of those minutes, and I saw that's when we were discussing licensing of cannabinoid dispensaries. And then I went down a little bit further, and that's when we're also discussing the conditional use permits, all on that meeting. So I guess my point is, when I ask myself, why are we missing so many minutes, but then August shows up? The reason August is here and available for us to approve is because the council feels this is a pressing need, okay? We should wonder why these minutes just showed. I guess I did. I wondered why these, why now? Well, the reason it is for the cannabinoid. So it's in the council's interest or the city's interest to get these through now and get them approved. We can't go further unless we get these minutes approved. But I am asking myself, well, what's with the other minutes? What makes these minutes so much more important than the other minutes? We are in November now, and we still don't have September or October minutes. But these minutes are coming through and being approved. So my point is that the cannabinoid licensing that St. Paul is pushing on all of us is doing its job because it's distracting us from what we should be doing. We have made this now a priority. We're gonna push this through tonight. We're gonna get these minutes ready for you. And thank you for getting them done. It's a good thing that we have these minutes available. Don't get me wrong. But the drawback is we're still missing a lot of minutes from 2023. We have nothing. So question our motives. Why tonight? Why now? On the other side of that, also in those minutes is the investigation into the missing public documents and data. That's also when we discussed that, and we did approve that. There are a couple things going through. One was the ARPA funds that the attorney agreed to look into. The other was some surveillance footage from August of 2021. And one of the items on there, one of the missing public data items, was the minutes from 2023. So I'm gonna, obviously, I'm gonna approve these minutes because I want to move forward with this. But I did want to point out, I mean, we should be asking ourselves, why now? Why is August all of a sudden a priority? We've discussed a lot of issues here over the course of the year. We don't have any minutes for those. But this one, all of a sudden now, you've got it. And that was all I wanted to say about that.
Thank you, Troy. Just to clarify on the minutes too, I know, they've been working very hard on them, and they have a bunch of things going on, so I don't know if there's any motive. I've been telling them that we need to get the minutes all done, completed, and that's our goal by December, but we're also training and learning, and,
And I did those minutes and I had more time.
yeah, so.
No, thank you for getting them done. It's progress, without a doubt. It's a good thing that's happened. We do need these minutes out here. But we should ask ourselves, why these, why now? Okay.
Thank you. Any other conversation on the consent agenda? Okay, well, let's go ahead and approve the consent agenda. We already have a second, so all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Moving on. We can go ahead to old business, and Mike, you are up, sir.
Welcome back. Dave, Craig. Yeah, Mike Brady, talking about your business park. I live in Crystal. Full disclosure, this is my son-in-law. He's worked in architectural firms for the last 16 years, and he's my consultant. My other consultant over there, Lee, he won't be speaking tonight. He's a pretty important guy.
He looks like he might be the boss.
Yeah. So thank you for letting us give you a proposal. It's not wasted on us that there's been a lot of work that has been done, especially by your predecessors, to create something that's of great value to the community. You know, I think it was a build it and they will come, and they didn't come. I think that the times have maybe changed too, and we've been talking to your staff and understanding what you wanted. We came in last time with some ideas about outdoor storage, and we could feel a little like that's really not the vision that you had unless it was screened. And then when we started picturing a bunch of hodgepodge buildings with some different types of screening around, we didn't think that that's what you wanted either. So we've been working pretty hard to come up with a concept that we think is pretty exciting and fulfills a lot of the ideas that we had originally to stimulate business, and probably some ideas I'm sure you didn't have as far as creating something unique in a bit of a pioneering way. So, David, would you like to?
Sure. I think from the architectural perspective, there's a site plan included in your packet. I think one of the valuable things that we're proposing is a mixture of uses, which is contained within a cohesive vision. And I think that cohesion is really important. That is one of our priorities, and I think that it'll bring a lot of value to the whole site being thought through as a whole, versus pieces. Yeah, some of the highlights I think that are worth pointing out is that there are a mixture of uses. One of them is senior housing, which brings or highlights, brings the point home that there's a desire to create an intergenerational community here. So you'll see a little bit of residential, a little bit of senior housing, some more commercial maker garages is what we are calling them to try to get the point across that they're meant to be maker spaces. So there's a synergy that we're trying to build between the residential components and the commercial components that we are excited and think will work well in trying to incubate business and encourage business that's already here with maybe a little more utility space that wasn't there before. And doing it all in a way that's approachable and as affordable as possible. My family and I moved to the area recently. I'm a citizen of Schaefer Township. Just next door, we live like right on the border. But yeah, so this is really close to us, and I think for some of the young families like us that are moving into the area, we've been so glad to find this area. It's been a pleasure to be here. That we think this vision would accommodate some of their needs to move to a place like this and get going, forge a community. So.
We know you have a lot on your plate here this evening. We've been working with Elizabeth, and I think that the goal maybe is a little different than we put on the end of the thoughts page there, and to perhaps get a direction for a process. I think your PUD section maybe was taken out, and that's the only way that this project could probably be done is with the PUD type process. So, yeah, thank you very much. We're happy to answer any questions you might have.
We'll start, go down this way.
Sure. All right. I found your proposal to be really interesting and out of the box. It isn't often you see a proposal come forward that has that diversity of uses and opportunities. I was pretty excited reading it. I'm not sure about the process either. I'll have to work with Elizabeth and the council to better understand that. But I was excited. I'd like to give you kudos for coming forward with something really unique.
Well, you guys set the table, so thank you, Tim.
So, it is zoned business and industrial, and it does not call for residential. That process would have to be looked at. But I found it, a really interesting proposition too, because you're really building a little village out there with retail, residential, and the whole gardening concept is really pretty cool. There's one little issue with residential, and that is, we're building next to our wastewater ponds. And for a couple of weeks every spring, the odor from the ponds is pretty offensive. And so I don't know how that's gonna go with, how that would, go with your plan for residential. I would want to live there, I'm almost a senior citizen.
Mm-hmm.
And so for senior housing or, even the tiny housing, that could be an issue. Okay, originally the city was looking for, like some light industrial businesses like a print shop or a call center for, a customer service business, that kind of thing. Heavy industrial, we're too far away from Interstate 35 to bring trucks in and out of there. Plus it's not a safe, place for trucks to be going in and out of. And then there's 10 acres on the north end of that is set aside for expansion of our septic system should the town grow and have the need for additional ponds. So, that's there to consider as well. Besides that, it's a great idea, in concept form. And but there's some things that would have to be changed to accommodate and some other things to consider before, we go forward with residential out there.
I apologize, I'd forgotten your Public Works Director's name.
Kevin.
Yes, we talked with him on the phone, and he also articulated that to us, and it would be something that we would disclose in all of our documents, so everyone was aware. We don't want people coming back and saying we weren't aware of this, so.
Sure.
That's a very great point.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it looks like a very good concept.
very interesting. Like all the work you guys have done on this. Thanks. Sure.
Yeah, thank you for all the work you've done, and then to come back and kind of revamp a little bit, give us another proposal. I guess I'm a little concerned about, and maybe you can make me feel better about this, I don't know, the tiny house village. How do you conceptualize that? How do you see that? I think people living around that area might be a little concerned about that.
Sure.
Sure, yeah, so, working in the architecture field, it's been, affordability is always on our mind, and I think the tiny house village concept has evolved a lot over the years to try to be one of the layers of strata of solutions that, get people, with some ownership and, something that, reaches a lot of people on an affordability point that can't be beat in a lot of ways. So I think some of the downsides, as that has been happening all around the country, and we've been able to see, the successes and the failures and the pros and cons. I think one of the things that we think will help make this successful is for the delivery to be a little different than it has been in the past, and that some other people have pioneered, where the actual buildings are there ahead of time. It's not something where people are bringing a hodgepodge of whatever they bring with them, but it'll have the cohesiveness that is that we're trying to keep throughout the rest of the site. So they would be renting what's already there on a path to ownership, a rent to own model. So I think, different than maybe some of the not so great examples of tiny home villages is that it'll be very integrated into the whole concept, and something that tries to address some of the failures of, or some of the things that might not make it an asset of the community. We will be trying to do the opposite, making it an asset versus something that's not.
No, and I understand, I can see where you can work this to make it an asset and beneficial to this community, this particular area that you're working on. But I'm wondering, have you done any, have you looked into how these tiny house villages affect the market values of surrounding properties?
Not particularly, no, not for this exercise.
Okay. I mean, I realize it's a unique piece of land, but there's always, there are always other people living around the area, so. Okay, that's it. Thank you again for your time and your efforts.
I've been talking with you a lot, and I've gotten to see 3 or 4 different plans now. And just watching it grow into what it could be has been very informational, very exciting, because a lot of the ideas I think this city could really use. I think, developing our park would be awesome. I agree a little with Troy on the tiny homes. I'd want to do a study. I'd want to see if that would affect anybody's property values. I want to be able to share it, but if not, we have a lot of great realtors in the area that would be able to, guide us through if they think it would be not benefiting the city. But as far as I'm concerned, everything I've looked at, I Googled some of it just to see what it would look like, and I've seen some stuff that, but I trust you guys, and your vision. So I want to appreciate all the time you've done. Working with Elizabeth has been wonderful, having her work with you guys. And, moving forward, I know you're looking for a 6-month. How soon would you want to dig and start building? Do you have some people already ready to go?
We're trying to hold back. The word's getting out a little bit, and we have people people that are interested. We have done zero marketing. We don't want to, because it's still in flux. It's a vision that's being formed. Like, we'll go back and assess what you're saying as far as the tiny homes, and if we all are thinking, well, that's true, then we want to switch to, as shown by, you know, as far as the outdoor storage situation, how flexible we are. We're not trying to ram anything. We're trying to create a very successful little community there, so.
What, Elizabeth, you might be able to help us, what are next steps for us? Are we looking to make a decision to, the 6-month decision tonight?
No, I would strongly recommend against even setting a timeline until we know what our vision is. Because as Mike stated, currently his plan does not fit within the ordinance, it's not allowed. So we would be, making an amendment to the ordinance, you know, which may or may not go through in the first place. So there's just, and there's a couple other variables too. There's more research that has to be done. We've got 3 outlots. Outlots aren't allowed to be built on. His proposal is, you know, building on the outlots. So if anybody has any idea of why these outlots are outlots, besides that northerly parcel being for the sewer ponds, please contact me. We're just doing that research. It's not in the binder, and I have to go back through the minutes and really find out what the discussions were at that time, or, you know, looking at other factors, because there's some research to be done there. We gotta figure out what the setback is from those sewer ponds. And the question I just had, since you guys were talking about it too, does anybody know how far do you have to be from those ponds to smell it when it's bad like that?
I think there's a neighbor just to the west, they could probably give us a pretty good idea.
I suppose it depends on the wind. Okay, so yeah, just another factor to go through, but we have so many unknowns at this point. I would say first, let's figure out which direction we're going. That way we can outline, okay, these are our steps, this is how long each of those steps should take. Also add time for hiccups, errors, you know, who knows? And then give him an estimated time, a realistic estimated timeline. So that way we're not just throwing a number out there and aiming for it.
I think, just to throw this in the outlots,
Yeah.
I thought they were designated as stormwater ponds when the first plans were put together.
Okay, all 3 of them?
Well, 2 for stormwater and 1 was probably for the expansion of the sewer ponds.
Okay, stormwater and, okay, sewer ponds, okay. Thank you.
So an outlot is what then? What, can you define that? It just means
Yeah.
not available, not buildable.
Yeah, it's not buildable, it's not,
Okay.
yeah.
In the development rule too, we also think of outlots as simply something that hasn't been plotted yet. So, you know, I would kind of be surprised if the 2 northernmost outlots, I can see the 8-acre outlot on the northernmost where the road tees, but then these 2 outlots, you know, you've got sewer and water coming to those outlots, so it just seems like from a perspective of what was future planning, like that was gonna be something, you just didn't know what. I don't know if that's true or not.
Usually an outlot is like a remnant of land that doesn't meet the subdivision standards, usually. But maybe they intentionally made it an outlot, not buildable for a reason, because they are large lots, so there's no way it's a remnant.
It would be odd that the improvements were made all the way back that far if they were intended to be a buffer or something for
Right.
the future pond expansion. And just for reference, the northernmost, the long east-west one is, the pin number ends in a .33, and the 2 outlots that we're really talking about are .32 and .34. They kind of are on the northern end of each side of the park.
Right, and I wonder if that has anything to do with like the setback or the smell or anything like that, to where it could still be for sale for something like a contractor storage yard or some, you know, there's just some unknowns there. So, but I think Mike did a good job summarizing where we're at, and I'm sure you guys read my letter in there, so. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Brandon?
Yeah.
Just two questions.
Yeah,
if I
please.
could. First, on that topic, you incorporated the pair of north lots in your plans here, correct?
We
But
did.
not the third larger piece.
Correct.
Okay. And then the senior housing, was that intended to be a not-for-profit type of arrangement, or is it more
It'd be for-profit.
for-profit? So from a tax perspective, that would add value to the city. Thank you.
Have you built anything of this nature before, or is this just brand new concept?
We've done, so I started in commercial real estate in '89, and then in the mid-2000s, we started developing. So we developed land around the church, Corcoran Hope Community Church, and then with housing and commercial, and then I did or American Trio Lofts downtown and took an old historic building and turned it into 90 condos, and then CW Lofts, that was also a residential development. And then I worked for Home Furniture for a number of years and did all of their commercial real estate work.
Oh, I
So-
mean, like with the gardening and the greenhouses incorporated into the whole program, is that a new concept for you, or?
Yes, really, it is a new concept for us.
It's great, I mean,
No, that's a good
very
question.
forward thinking.
When I saw the senior housing, it did intrigue me. I was excited about that because I know some of the folks I've spoke with in the community were looking for places they want to stay in the community. They don't necessarily want to have to leave their homes. And so I think that's, wonderful. And if we can make that work out, I mean, everything I see here, I would, I'm excited for, and I think our next steps is we need to work with Elizabeth to find out more about those two pieces of property that are sitting there and try to make sense of that. And if we can do anything with that, I'm sure we would do whatever we can as what's right for the city. But I think those next steps, we need to do that. We need to find out more information. And then that'll allow us to give you guys a time frame of, we can't vote on it today.
No.
unfortunately.
Do it the right way.
Does anybody else have any questions for Mike? His son? Son-in-law, sorry.
I have one for Elizabeth. How long would it take you to help us put together a timeline on the different action steps that would need to be taken? Is it our next meeting? Is it 2 meetings from now?
We're gonna try to aim for next meeting. It really depends on which direction you guys wanna go. So I guess my question to you today, not even voting, but, is there support in doing the planned unit development, or do you want them to design something within the existing zoning ordinance? That's the big question. It's cause I don't wanna draft, but I don't wanna go through all the work of drafting new ordinances and stuff if there's not openness to doing it or wanting to do it.
Did you want a decision? You want an answer today, or?
And you guys, I mean, we got a lot on the agenda, but if you
Right.
guys wanna individually, just kinda give me your thoughts, so at least I know where we're at, and we can put together another update,
Oh.
for next month, whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah, well, if I can, Mayor, I guess I would be in favor of it being within the existing zoning ordinance and not rewriting anything at this point. It is, I know it's a lot of work, and I know you're up to it, and I know you can do it, but at this point, I think that in your first proposal was within those, although it's still outside by quite a bit, or? Oh, really? Wow. So are we getting closer here, or?
Well, essentially, you have to look at the lot dimensions of where the lots are, and he could reconfigure the lots, but each lot has setbacks for those buildings, so he would have to bring those buildings being within
Oh, okay.
setbacks. There's also like one dwelling, or no dwellings actually in the BNI district.
At this point, my opinion hasn't changed. I would like to stay within that zoning
Thank you for
ordinance
that
in that
feedback.
district. Sure.
Yeah, does anybody else want to weigh in?
I just think it's an interesting enough concept to flesh it out a little further, you know, I mean, it's totally unique to me to have something like that in our community. You know, it could attract more residents, some, you know, successful businesses that wanted to settle up in there, and, yeah, I just think it's worth fleshing out a little further.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page as Larry. It's so unique, and we think Taylor's Falls is pretty unique. I would like to just see what the action steps would be and see how long it would take. I want to be considerate of our revenue streams too. Question I would have is what sort of valuation would this development have as compared to an industrial? I'm not familiar with how those are calculated, and I don't even know if we could put an estimate together on that, but that would be a consideration of mine. But I really like the concept. It's just so unique, and I think would really paint a nice picture for Taylor's Falls. Yeah, so I would say, assume this were going forward, what steps would we take and how long would they take?
Okay. Thank you, Captain.
Any comments?
I can go either way.
I'd like to keep it moving forward with the proposal today and see what it's gonna take, and I'd like to get a list of pros and cons if we redo the ordinances.
Sure. And then just off the top of my head, the only con would be, and at this point, it's maybe not a con because this is the only BNI zoned area is the business park. There's nothing else out there. But when you're putting that PUD in as a conditional use under the BNI section of the ordinance, that means anywhere that's zoned BNI can apply for that PUD. And not all PUDs are gonna be as nice as his. And so when that happens, if that happens, then could be in a situation of putting conditions on a PUD, because it would be really hard to deny one even if it was undesirable. That's really all I have on that.
So assuming this didn't proceed, this plan didn't proceed, the next time somebody came to us for the park, that would be in place.
Well, let's shoot for next meeting.
Yep.
If we can get all our ducks in a row and understand better, then we can make a decision as a collective and go from there.
Sounds great.
All right.
Happy to work with you.
Thanks, Pete.
Thank you.
Good seeing
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along, to old business, number 2 will be the approval of Michelle Hansen for our treasurer position. We need a motion and a second to discuss and approve.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Since we've been going left to right, let's go right to left.
No, I think, I'm all for this. I think Michelle's been acclimated here for quite a while. I think she can hit the ground running, and literally, because of the experience she has. So, I won't, take too much more time. I just wanted to say that and welcome, officially welcome and permanently.
Lee?
Yeah, I think she'll do a very good job. She's done very, very good work so far, and it's a move up for her. And I think she'll be a great asset to the city.
Approve and congratulate.
Ditto. I'm excited to be working with you. Congratulations. And thank you.
Yep, I don't have anything really to say. I'm excited. I've had the opportunity to work with you quite a bit lately, so welcome. And let's go ahead and vote. to approve the hiring of Michelle Hanson for our treasurer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Way to go, we don't get applause.
We don't deserve that.
Could I make one comment? It's for both here. I believe there's a typo in both of the letters. That's the second sentence of the first paragraph. This position is a number of hours position exempt. And Fritz, if my memory is correct, exempt means that you don't get overtime.
That's correct.
So it should be a non-exempt position, which does qualify you for overtime.
We'll change that, I can sign it tomorrow. Michelle. Thank you, Tim. All right, number 3 would be approval for our clerk, city clerk position with Sherry Thomason. I need a motion and a second to discuss.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All right. Let's start with you again, Troy.
Lucky night. Again, I'm very excited to have Sherry on board. She's extremely well qualified. Attention to detail. One thing that really stuck out for me was her personality. How basically gregarious she is, how outgoing, and still focused on what needs to be done. I think it was page, I can't remember what page it was of her application, but it was just tons of detail, a detailed career, a lot of history in working with detailed databases, data privacy, and just an immense amount of responsibility that she's had. So I'm excited to have her on board as well. And optimistic, very optimistic.
Thank you. Lee?
Well, same as Troy, I think she's gonna make a great addition to the city. Look forward to working with her.
Okay, well, I'm gonna miss Mary Tom, that's for sure, but I would approve this and congratulate her.
Tim?
Yeah, I think during the interview process, I was left with a couple of feelings with Sherry, both good. One was just I felt comfortable around her. She's very personable, obviously well qualified on top of it, but I also felt a sense of security that the city would be in good hands. So with Mary leaving, and now with Michelle and Sherry, I do feel confident that they'll be able to keep moving us forward.
Totally agree. I'm super excited. She had a smile that warmed the room when she came in, and I could just tell that she's gonna get along really well with our current staff, and she's gonna be a great face for the community to get to know. So let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor of approving the hiring of Sherry Thomason for our city clerk position, say aye.
Aye.
All right. We will move on to new business now, and Gerald Swanson with stormwater billing. If you want.
I'll just stand here.
Okay.
I would just ask the council I've got 20 acres outside of town. And there are 2 dead-end streets that come into it. It doesn't touch any street at all. And it's all light brown. I think Lee probably knows where it's at. But I don't feel that any of the any water, it's light soil, gravelly. I don't feel that any water is traveling to any city street at all on that. And in addition to that, I suppose I could have just talked to the office. On Colby, in the winter, and last year we had a lot of snow, of course. But the snow's pushed up there and it takes a long time in the spring to melt. And if they had any way of, I don't care if the snow's pushed onto the property, but if they could, you know, divert it a little bit, so it's not just that pile right at, cause
Right.
it's the end of May before it's all gone last year. But that was all, but just do a review on, if I could get a review on the stormwater assessment on that.
Okay.
And I would be available if somebody wanted to walk that ground. I'd be available.
Okay. Well, thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. We definitely can do that. We'd have to talk to Kevin and you, and we can go out there and take a look. Okay, we'll get that on in the next couple of weeks. We'll reach out, and if I'm around, I'll join too, because I always like to learn. Because I don't think any water comes off my property either. Yeah. I'm
Do you
just
wanna
teasing.
pull Jake out and? do it?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Let's have Jake at Boulder Maine, help us out with that as well. Any questions?
I'm just not familiar with what builds the case for the stormwater assessment. I'm not sure what our policies are in that regard.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll learn. Any comments, concerns?
I'm just not sure of the stormwater policy and what it entails, but I think it's that, you know, stormwater runs off your property into, you know, our sewers or, you know, into the city system, then they're assessed a charge.
Lee? No, I'm good. Troy?
No, no comment.
Okay. We don't have to vote on anything on there, so we will go on to number 2, and Carol Schuman, regarding our lighting festival coming up. 2 weeks.
10, 11 days.
11 days. Oof.
Not that we're counting. So I just wanted to thank the city for their support by including the lighting festival in your budget. And it's the 39th annual festival. Our theme is 175 years of commerce, highlighting the commerce in our city. And the ornaments, oh, I got it in my coat pocket. The ornaments were made by a local business with August, and they are on sale around town at local businesses. We appreciate and want to support the businesses in town. This is the ornament. It's done, very nicely done by With August. So they're for sale around town, and we just want to encourage people to really spend time downtown. We really want to encourage our businesses. We appreciate them. So some of the activities, the Folsom House will be open throughout the weekend. On Friday, the weekend will include activities. Businesses will have some special features during the day, including hot cocoa, s'mores, cotton candy, cookies, and those will all be offered on sidewalks. There will also be booyah at Romaine's, chili at St. Joseph's, pizza at Shuni's, and a food truck will also be coming. The Santa Parade begins at 6 p.m. and our Sheriff's Department and CERT team will be providing extra eyes and directing of traffic. Meeting Santa is going to change this year. It's going to be at the Taylor's Falls Memorial Center this year, following the parade. We encourage people to come up to the schoolhouse where the 3rd graders have their dioramas on display. Then on Saturday, there will be a free pancake breakfast at the Taylor's Falls Evangelical Lutheran Church. Also, Advent wreath making. The craft fair will be open at the community center. There will be a medallion hunt. The United Methodist Church will be selling sloppy joes. And a highlight of that day is the Advent service, which begins at 4:30 and features a community choir. Then bingo is on Saturday night at 6:30. Sunday, we have 2 events. There will be the Green Fire Irish Dancers, they'll be performing, and then they invite the audience to join them for some Irish dancing at the Memorial Community Center. So a fun time there. And at 3 o'clock, concluding the festivities with a concert by the St. Croix Valley Orchestra. So check out the Taylor's Falls Light Festival website and Facebook for complete details. And enjoy the weekend.
So I would have a question. What is the nature of the food truck and where will it be located?
To be determined what, it's a pizza truck, Papa Mike's, I don't know anything about it, I didn't arrange it. And we're trying to decide where to put it. Because, well, if you, like we've had the kettle corn by the school, but you're on such a slope there. And then we had one, I think last year, we had a kettle corn down across from the station, Casey's, kind of in a little parking lot. People said they couldn't find it, and so we're still kind of trying to decide what would be the best place. If anybody has an idea, we've talked about the Marvin lot, but we don't want to take parking from, but we might end up doing that anyway, so.
When didn't we have a issue with the food truck during one of these days? They require a permit to operate?
Right, a vendor.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
And they procured their vendor permit?
I haven't checked on it, but I know that we need to ask them to do that. Yeah. Yep, anything else?
Yeah, no comment.
We both sound.
Sounds like fun.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, number 3, Buck, cannabinoid product retail license renewal. Hi, Buck.
Hey guys, how's
See
it
you.
going?
A business?
It's going well, yeah. It was a good color, long, extended fall, it seemed, so
Okay.
even now it's still kind of sunny out and people are around.
So, the nature of your customers, is it locals, is it a mix of, people out of town?
Some of both, like in the summer, it was probably a 50-50 mix. Now it's probably more 75-80% locals, and then just a small group of people that still come into town, and so. Yep.
All right. Well, we have to approve next year's license, so we need a motion and a second, and we can chat, we can listen to Elizabeth, go from there.
I'll make a motion that we approve the license application.
I'll second that.
We can discuss. Tim, would you like to start? Any questions, concerns?
I didn't really, I mean, this is pretty quick turnaround. No, I would just, if Elizabeth had anything.
No, just kind of what I drafted. We drafted the ordinance where the license runs from January 1st to December 31st, so it may seem like we were just here, we were, and we're just doing a renewal, nothing has changed. All the requirements are met, and there's no outstanding violations, so I would advise to approve the cannabis product retail license.
Thank you.
I sort of jumped the gun. How's business?
It's great.
Lee?
75% locals, you think?
Yeah, like today was actually, all locals except for one person that came in, and it was funny because it's someone that I know from my store in St. Paul, and he owns a restaurant kind of near me, and he didn't know I was here or anything, and he just happened to walk in, so it was kind of interesting.
So when you say local, what do you mean?
I'd say within like a 15-mile radius or less, like usually Chisago or Polk County seems to be the areas. And I know that just because I ask people, are you from this area, do you live out of town, and that's kind of how I gauge it by.
We've got a couple licenses coming up tonight, CUPs, right? And I'm just wondering, When you bought the shop, other than the actual purchase of the shop or the lease or whatever, you know, you're doing, the conversion process of converting the shop over to what you're selling now, how much of a burden was that? Do you have an idea? I mean, did it take a lot of money, take a lot of time? You know, how did that work for you?
Yeah, actually, so I first looked at the space back in December of last year, and I opened July 8th.
The 6 months?
Yeah.
7, okay. How about financially?
Yeah, there was definitely a financial burden to set it all up, get everything there, you know, depending on how much product you wanted to carry and stuff, then that also, just to make sure you had enough inventory and everything. Lucky for me, because I do grow the CP at my farm, a lot of the inventory product is for me, so that's not as big of an expense as for a lot of people. That's gonna be a pretty large expense when they open up, it's just the products.
Do you want to quantify it in any way? I mean, not necessarily a dollar amount, but, you know, just how burdensome was that for you?
It took a nice amount of, financial, you know, saving up and spending to do that. It was a large amount, I would say, definitely.
That's-
Yeah, it was.
Large is
Yeah, it's large.
is a quantity.
Okay.
No, thank you.
Yes.
That's all I have.
I don't have any questions. I just asked them a couple months ago, so.
Can I say something?
Please.
Okay. Because I know you guys have these other ones coming up and stuff too, and it's just like, Troy mentioned earlier, just like how much time this takes and everything. I would like to see something maybe going forward where if you are compliant for a whole year of your license, there's no hiccups, issues with it, that moving forward, the license, to renew it can just maybe go through the processes of like every other license in the city, where it just goes to the staff to kind of do it, which makes it, you know, whoever kind of brings it in first, I know gets it, but I just feel like having to come back here again already and just keep doing this, repeating and taking up you guys' time doing all these things with, unless there's like some issue that comes up with the license, I feel like it'd be nice to just have it a little more smoothly kind of flow through, so it doesn't take up so much time with the meetings and everyone else.
So you're asking for staff approval after 1 year of operating without violations or anything?
Correct, yep.
Except for liquor.
Yeah, I believe they all went out already. I saw them, you know, liquor licenses you guys approve and send them to the state, right? So, yeah.
As far as I heard, yeah, this was the only license that has to go through the city council for approval. All the other ones are just through the staff.
Why do you think that is?
That was the decision that the city council made when I originally got it. Because I don't know if there was just maybe this council wanting a little more oversight at the initial process to like see, but now you're in that position of like, now you have to choose between two, whereas if it would have been how the other licenses go, there wouldn't be, you guys wouldn't have to be making those decisions on you. It would have been kind of like whoever turns in our stuff to the staff gets the license, and then it doesn't have to go through this kind of, not a fight, but some kind of a, you know, a debate with two different groups trying to get one thing, but it can also be healthy, I guess, too.
Yeah, that's why I asked the question. I mean, I'm not saying one way or the other as far as the staff approval, but we do have a responsibility. You know, we're elected to do something, and that is, you know, that is very possible. That's one of our responsibilities. And until this, I mean, this thing's still new, so.
Right, this is all still uncharted
Right,
waters and new territory,
right.
so
Yep.
we're just keeping a close eye on things.
Yeah, just like, you know, a liquor license where, you know, you can go look at the CDC, alcohol kills almost 100,000 people a year as a single-use drug, and cannabis kills 0 people a year as a single-use drug. And there's no oversight for that license, so it does seem strange, but I also get it because it is new, but I just thought, yeah, maybe moving forward, because, you know, a year of good behavior or something, you know, or whatever, that if you keep up that status, that you could just go through the city like all the other licenses.
Okay. Chris, do you have anything you want to add?
Well, I hesitate to say that the liquor license may seem to you to be pro forma approval, but technically, that's one that the city has to review every year, even if they do it through the staff. And there's a lot of control that a city can exercise over a liquor license. And it's not at all clear that same exercise of control can happen over your license. So at least initially, I think the cautious approach that the city's taking, respect to nothing personal.
Yeah, no,
But is probably the best approach, but I hesitate to leave out there that the city doesn't review liquor licenses. That is not true.
I just meant it doesn't come before the city council for like a big discussion in the public open forum.
It can.
But has it
It
ever?
actually does,
Oh,
yeah, it does, it's just we didn't have up till now, and I mean, it might be the case going forward, but there wasn't a lot of discussion. I attended a lot of those meetings when they came up, it was part of the agenda. The name of the business was on the agenda, and it was approved. Yeah, there wasn't much discussion, but I can see how you think, you know, it was just a staff approval, but it did come before the council.
Yeah, or just something like that where it seems to be a little less time taken away from everyone, the council, the staff, everything, as long as you're kind of in good standing still, but just a thought.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing it up, that's why everybody's here, so.
Well, and moving forward, there'll all be they'll all come at the same time, or both will come at the same time. So they would come together, they wouldn't be one-off because of the timing.
Yeah, because even like with the one tonight, it's like whoever you approve, they have to come back for approval again before the year's up, because their license expires at the end of the year.
They both volunteered to start on January 1st.
That's probably a good thing.
They don't want to talk to us.
Anything else? No? All right, let's go ahead and vote to approve the Cannabinoid product retail license renewal for Buck Duncan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Bud.
Thank you.
All right, Sarah and Jason, good to see you both. Welcome. We are going to be discussing the CUP for short-term rental at 361 Bench Street, the former Chisago House, the apartments up above. So if you'd like to sit up here, you can. If you want to stay there, that's fine. I'll need a motion in a second. We can discuss and go from there.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Elizabeth, would you like to give us a rundown?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the request by the applicant is for a CUP to operate a short-term rental at 361 Bench Street. No public comment was received for, and all proper notifications were sent out. The subject property is zoned downtown commercial. The subject building was recently purchased by Opulence LLC. The lower level is intended for future commercial uses, and the upper level consists of 4 one-bedroom apartments. The applicant would like to operate the 4 apartments as short-term rentals. Short-term rentals are allowed as a conditional use in the downtown commercial zoning district. The use will provide a needed service to the public. It's a great location for the tourists, and it's also integrated, the short-term rental use is integrated into their personal business plan, which I'll let them describe if they so choose. The applicant has indicated there are 4 one-bedroom apartments in the upper level. There's plenty of parking. And as zoning staff, I've concluded that all general and specific requirements have been met in the zoning ordinance. Planning Commission and I both recommend the City Council make a motion to approve the proposed conditional use permit application using the findings of facts in the staff memorandum with the following conditions. And I'm just gonna read them, and they will be the same for the next short-term rental applicant as well. The applicant will adhere to applicable requirements for conditional use permits found in section 1008 in the zoning exception of the conditional use permit will not require the owner to occupy the apartments or buildings, to operate the short-term rental. I say this because we've done that for every short-term rental that's come before, since I've been here. The applicant shall provide contact information to anyone within 350 feet of the property, and the applicant shall have a representative or themselves be within a half an hour of the property who could respond to complaints shall any arise. The specific and general requirements are quite lengthy, so I'm not gonna read them, but if you have any questions on any of those, I'm happy to answer.
Any questions for Elizabeth?
I don't.
No.
Turn it over to you guys.
Envision us, if you want.
So the lower, we are splitting into 3 different businesses. We are putting in a wellness type retail, and then she's hoping to offer classes, retreats possibly, that would use the upstairs short-term rentals. And then we do have another meeting with a restaurant owner on Wednesday to hopefully put a restaurant down in business, or in the other side, and then the middle. We're hoping to save for ourselves to put a meat shop and deli in there. And then the upstairs do short-term rentals for, yeah, just the wellness and tourism, and hopefully put in some bike rentals or some kind of fun little moving wheels that people can rent.
Fun, thank you.
Can I just, so you have 3, you said you had 3 things going on there, the wellness, right? Restaurant in the bottom, is that right? And then the other one was the meat shop and deli. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I had them clear.
Yes.
Okay.
What's your timeline for the short-term rentals?
Hopefully by March.
Are there any renovations or updates that you need to make upstairs to, because they haven't been rented for a while, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're working on 2 right now, but we have a seasonal business and it's at its peak right now, so that's not happening. We have to wait until that.
I'm sorry, could you say that again? What you just said?
We have a seasonal business and it's at peak right now, so
Okay.
we have things started,
Yep.
we're not gonna be able to finish them and then, until hopefully March.
And is that balcony usable up there?
It will be when we're done renovating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it safe?
It's sketchy at best.
Well, it's just, it's fantastic to see something going into that location. You know, that's been a mainstay of our town forever. It's a great location. And we're just really glad to see something happening there, and it just sounds like a terrific project.
Yeah, we're super excited for the opportunity. Got a great vision in place, and we just want to have a great place for people in town to gather. That's like our main goal.
Okay. No, it is exciting to see something finally happening there. Thank you.
No, just, thanks for buying it, working on it, it's gonna be great.
I hope you like jerky, Lee, because I'm.
Yes, very good.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Well, I'm excited to have you, I know we got a chance to meet, and I appreciate you guys taking the time last time and giving me the tour, so I'm thrilled to have you guys in our town. Thank you for taking a risk on us, and I'm sure our citizens are really excited when they see all the progress, and we're definitely gonna be rooting for you guys, so.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and vote then to approve the CUP for short-term rental at 361 Bed Street. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I ask you one more question?
Sure.
You're a hobby?
Yeah,
You have family in Stearns County by any chance?
I don't think so.
My wife's got a lot of hobbies in her family from Stearns County, so she told me to ask you.
Yeah.
Corey Couillard for a short-term rental for 625 Bench Street. Welcome, Corey.
Condolences on the passing of your father.
Thank you. Yeah, it's obviously during a tough time. I know he knew many of you, and obviously it's looking forward to what the future lies. So thanks for being with me today, and look forward to seeing what we can do.
Alright. The request by the applicant is for a conditional use permit to operate a short-term rental at 625 Bench Street. So just for perspective, that is just northwest of the drive-in. No public comment was received. All notifications were sent out that were required. The subject property is zoned downtown commercial and small town. The dwelling for the proposed short-term rental is in the downtown commercial zoning district. The 1,100 square foot, 2-bedroom residence is currently vacant. The dwelling is connected to city water and city sewer. Short-term rentals are allowed as a conditional use permit within the downtown commercial zoning district. Let's see. There's adequate parking. There's one long driveway. And as zoning staff, I have concluded that all general and specific requirements have been met per the zoning ordinance. Planning Commission and I both recommend the city council make a motion to approve the proposed conditional use permit with the same conditions stated in the previous applicants. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Elizabeth? Lee? No? Okay. Take it away.
Well, I guess many of you know where it's at. I guess it's in a good location, right across from the drive-in. Good walking distance to downtown businesses. I think it's really something that could, do well. And even though there's quite a few other short-term rentals, I think this has the potential to, be occupied and add value to the city. And essentially, there's not a whole lot to do. So it's something that I would like to work towards, doing this as soon as possible. But of course, I would soon see, what your thoughts on that, and I received approval, and what options were to move forward. So, but overall, good opportunity, and hope you agree.
The Couillard house?
Yes, because essentially we want to keep it in the family, and that's, of course, he was a member of the community, and knew many people, was involved, and just want to maintain that legacy moving ahead as well.
Be nice. Any questions? No questions? Larry?
No. Lee? No. Troy?
No, I do want to say something, because I remember when I campaigned, when you go door to door, there's a couple people, a couple properties that stick out, you never forget, and your dad was one of them, because he came to the door, he came out, and he loved talking. I sensed a little bit of an intellectual, right, like to think a little bit, and it was, I just want to let you know that it was a great experience with your dad, if only for a couple minutes. And then I did walk into the coffee shop a couple times, and he was there in the corner. It was so great to, just call him by name and see what was going on, so. But that was it. Thanks.
Well, he was a bit of a storyteller, or long-winded at times, but he said very good things about many of you, so thank you.
I hadn't seen your father since I played for Chisago Lakes until I went with the football team this fall and got him shambles. I didn't do any of the work, but I got to talk to him and hear stories, and he lit up when the football team came, so.
We did that for over 20 years,
Yeah.
And he worked for the school district for over 25, and essentially was inducted to the Hall of Fame for all of his service for the community, and had an impact on a lot of people's lives, and of course mine and my brothers, and want to continue to
anything else? We can go ahead and vote then.
I
All right.
missed the motion.
Yeah, Troy second. It was Troy second. All right, let's go ahead and vote to, approve the conditional use permit for 625 Bench Street. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, on to the next. Annette, we are gonna be looking at a conditional use permit, for the cannabinoid product retail establishment at 406 Bench Street, with August. Welcome. Take it away.
Oh, thank you. So tonight we have two applicants for cannabinoid product retail establishments and two applicants for the corresponding license. So my recommendation tonight is approval of both cannabinoid product retail establishments, because they can hold that conditional use permit, and then not use it. So you don't have to take this step as the decision maker. You can, if you see that they meet all the requirements, approve both conditional use permits, and then you will have to deny one license tonight. So just wanted to let you know, this is not the deciding step. So moving forward, just with our first applicant, this is Annette Bethke. She's requesting a CUP to operate a cannabinoid product retail establishment at 406 Bench Street. That's currently with August. No public comment was received, and all required notifications were sent. The property is zoned downtown commercial, which is a requirement to approve this conditional use permit. The use of the existing building is a retail gift shop, which includes herbs, syrups, bath and body clothing, decor, and a homeopathic line of products such as oregano oil, rosemary tincture, peppermint oil, and products of the like. A cannabinoid product retail establishment is allowed as a conditional use permit within the downtown commercial zoning district per the City of Taylor's Falls zoning ordinance. A cannabinoid product retail license is also required for the sale of cannabinoid products per section 311 of the Taylor's Falls City Code. The cannabinoid product license may be issued by City Council after a conditional use permit for a cannabinoid product retail establishment is approved. If for any reason you deny either one, then they are not eligible to apply for the license. As zoning staff, I've concluded that all general and specific requirements have been met per the zoning ordinance. These requirements look different for each of the applicants as they're very different situations from each other, but they both meet the requirements. Planning Commission and I both recommend City Council makes a motion to approve the proposed conditional use permit application using the findings of facts and staff report with the following conditions. Now, these are all the same as Buck Duncan's. We want to put those in there for consistency. One, the applicant will adhere to applicable zoning requirements for conditional use permits found in section 1000-008 of the zoning ordinance. The applicant shall be required to get a cannabinoid product retail license prior to selling the cannabinoid products. This conditional use permit shall expire upon change of business name, change of business owner, or change of the property owner, and the hours of operation are 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. So those are the base ones that I recommended. Planning Commission also recommended on November 8th to add number 5. The use will be for the sale of cannabinoid topical products as represented by the applicant. So Ms. Bethke intends to only sell the topicals, which does still qualify as a cannabinoid product in our ordinance. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Elizabeth?
I do, and I think it's consistent on both the findings of fact. In section 3, findings of fact, letter F, section F, The city council considered the planning commission recommendation on the CUP on November 8th, 2023. Seems like
What
that.
page are you on?
Good question. 136.
What?
3F.
No, that is a typo, and that's in the drafted, CUP, so I'll make sure to get that, corrected before we actually issue it. Thank you for pointing it out.
And that was actually the planning commission considered it on the 8th?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay, thank you.
Or, oh, no, actually, no, that's right. So you, that sentence is saying that you are considering their recommendation on the 8th, so that is right.
13th.
No, their meeting was on the 8th. I can maybe say.
It's worded on.
Yeah, I could maybe say like which was the planning commission, which took place on the 8th. I can clarify that a
Or
little
the
more.
November 8th planning commission meeting or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
I see Councilmember Grove's point, that's,
I was confused.
yep.
Yeah,
And it's the same on both of them.
okay.
Thank you for the clarification. That's really the only question I have for this.
Sorry, Tim. Sorry, do you have any? Lee? No. Troy?
No.
Okay. Who would like to hear from you?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm actually looking to be able to sell, the Cannabis, the topical product for everybody. There's no THC in it. We already have a homeopathic line right now. We've been in business for 5 years, and, we have already returned clientele that we have built up for that particular thing. And this is something that we'd like to add. It helps with, arthritis, aches and pains, so the topicals would help to relieve that. We have a lot of hikers and stuff that come in that would help that. We would, our business is very family oriented, so this is something that, would just add to it. We're not, just looking to add to help our line as well, to keep people healthy in a more natural way, so.
Troy, you have any questions?
No, I guess I'm just gonna stay consistent. Budget-wise, what is this gonna cost you? What do you think overall?
I guess I can give you like a round number right now.
Well-
It would be getting in the product. We also have to have it in, a secured lockbox, so it would cost that. I guess, starting out, I would probably start out a little smaller to ensure that I'm not dropping $10,000 on a product line that's, so we're looking, I don't know, I'm not sure I could give you a round number right now.
Okay, well, I'm just wondering about the burden of the conversion. Okay, the change to the business. How do you feel this,
The
How does
change,
it do that?
our business is already there,
Right.
so the change would be having to add just a secured box for, a cabinet for it to be in. So it would be the cost of the cabinet, the lock, keeping it, secure would be the added cost to us, plus the cost of the product.
Product.
Yes.
And no other questions?
Lee? Larry?
Have you had any experience with this product before?
Actually, I have.
Okay,
I have a bad shoulder.
sorry?
I have tingling tendons in my shoulder.
Yeah.
So I do use CBD broad spectrum that has no THC, but it brings down the inflammation in my shoulder and allows me to do what I do. I'm the potter. So I see a lot of great value in it. It's, you can't get high from it. I don't think you could get high from it if you ate it. Which I don't know why anybody would. It smells good. It's, like I said, she said, we're family friendly. the intention is not to be the neon sign in the window, and it's just to the homeopathic line and that is created.
Yeah, I can open up that drive-through window, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do that.
But, so the product that you carry, I mean, that you intend to carry,
Yes.
you carrying it because customers have asked you for it, or you know that this is, you know?
Yes, it's kind of both.
Okay.
So, we've had a few customers that have asked about it, and, because of what we carry now, that it's an all-natural line, it's just something that people come in, they use, they come back to get it. So, it's something that I'm hoping that can grow our product line, in both, not just in the Canaboy, but also in the others, stuff that we carry, so to be able to offer that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tim?
I really don't have any questions. I do have a procedural question though.
Okay.
Neither of us can remember if there was a motion made, and if so, who made it?
We did a motion in a second to the,
I'm still reading, so
I think it was,
No, I don't know, I did the last one, but I did this one too.
no, I know we did.
Me?
Yeah,
I think it was me.
yeah,
Motion.
or Troy motioned. I thought you seconded it. I thought you did.
Shame on my memory.
Yeah, I'm still reading.
That's what I told you, Michelle.
They're confident they did it, so we can just listen to the recording. I couldn't
Good to me.
do anyways.
Are there any cognitive advantages with this type of vote?
Can I rub it on my
Unfortunately,
it would be great though.
Well, let's go ahead on the CUP for 406 Bench Street. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Larry Long, conditional use permit for 349 Government Street.
We should get you chairs with your names on.
How are you both?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Alright, so this request by the applicant is for a CUP to operate a cannabis product retail establishment at 349 Government Street, which is the old jail. No public comment was received, and all required notifications were sent out. The subject property is owned downtown commercial with the Heritage Preservation Overlay. South of the property is part-time schoolhouse. To the southwest of the property is the residential neighborhood of Angel Hill, which is zoned small town. North, northeast, and east and southeast of the property. Our property is zoned downtown commercial. To the north of the subject property is the Springs Inn Motel. And northeast of the property is the former Chisago House, which is vacant, followed by the core of downtown. To the east of the property is Casey's gas station. Southeast of the property is Taylor's Falls Community Center. The first story of the building is currently being used as a bed and breakfast, and the second two stories are being used as apartments. A cannabis product retail establishment is allowed as a conditional use permit within the downtown commercial zoning district for the city of Taylor's
want to be in your shoes tonight. We'd like to start by saying that we understand that there's a lot of emotion that comes with anything related to the word cannabis. But what we're talking about tonight is a non-intoxicating substance that is currently being treated as though it is intoxicating. We understand this industry is new in Minnesota, and Taylor's Falls is doing their due diligence by taking it slow and limiting the amount of licenses, but that may need to be revisited. To have an industry with only 2 licenses for a substance that is not intoxicating just does not make a lot of sense. And what it does is it actually actively obstructs business owners in town from being able to gain experience in the new industry. Like Ann said, these aren't products that are going to impair anybody. They've been proven over and over to contribute to good health, physically and mentally. Like topicals would be an absolute wonderful addition in Ann's store. That's so much what their store already does, and they do a beautiful job doing it. There's no reason they shouldn't be able to sell topical lotions there. Box Wellness Center is an entirely different situation. That's still a great addition to our town. People can have somewhere else to get some relief that they may not be able to get from a medical doctor. To hold other businesses in town back from being able to sell non-intoxicating products feels like an overreach that does not exist in other towns. This would prevent Casey's, Juneberry's, Spoonies, anyone else from holding a license for something that is non-intoxicating. So we feel like there's a bit of a lack of understanding of what this actually is that we're talking about. This is nowhere near the THC conversations yet with things that are intoxicating. So we feel the amount of licenses granted should be revisited. That being said, we're gonna make this choice really easy and withdraw our application. There's a lot of reasons that we have decided to do so, but what it mainly comes back to is we are a family with young kids in a very opinionated town, and that is something we do not take lightly as parents. We have 4 wonderful kids, and that is our focus, and we have done a lot of thinking about this, and so we are going to withdraw at this time. We still have plans to develop our corner. I mean, all the other existing plans we had are still there. We're just moving away from cannabinoid products at this time. We'd still like to open for retail and eventual food services. That's where our passion would be. So, yeah, we want to be able to serve more tourists and locals and open our buildings up and be able to speak more on history in Taylor's Falls there. And then one last thing before we get out of here is we'd like to take a minute and bring up what an incredible asset Elizabeth is to the city. In our time being business owners here and citizens here, we have not dealt with another public official as diligent and hardworking and honest and helpful as she is. She's done so much in the time she's here in cleaning up other people's messes. I can't even imagine how stressful her job is, but she approaches it with absolute grace and integrity, and I really hope she's recognized as the asset that she is. Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I was getting emotional hearing you talk.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're very, I can imagine what you might be going through, but I'm just curious, have you actively had people comment on your plans that led you to this decision? Because it's sad that you're at that point. I'm sad for the city of Taylor's Falls that would be an issue that would make you walk this application back. And it disappoints me in a number of ways. But I was just curious, just the perception you have and just what's been going on, or have you had active?
It's definitely part of it, not all of it. There's a lot of things that play a part in this, but the way this is being treated is definitely just over the top. Considering what's coming up, I think that has a lot to do with it, with the big THC coming in here. So I would say that, yeah, that impacts a lot of people. So it's disheartening to see how it's being treated.
These are choices we just need to make for the best of our family.
argument was definitely well presented as far as, you know, the licensing process and, you know, only having two and, you know, it was a very bold and brave decision that you made, you know, for the benefit of your family. And as far as being in our shoes tonight, you know, yeah, that's why we're up here, but, you know, we work things out, you know, to try to do what's best for the city. You know, we're in uncharted waters, like I said earlier, and, but I'm like Tim, I'm disappointed to see you pull out, but I understand your reasoning, and thank you for being so upfront.
No, thank you for all this time, we're sorry to have wasted it, we just.
No, it's not wasted.
Can I offer a friendly amendment? Question for Elizabeth first. I was gonna wait for the license application conversation to ask this, but how long does a CUP remain valid if it's not used for the stated purpose?
At least 12 months.
So my friendly amendment would be you proceed with the CUP and withdraw your license request.
We definitely thought about it, but it's just not something we're gonna move forward with.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just
we're
wanted to
still,
check.
yeah, we're still wanting to move forward with other aspects of our business plans, and getting out of the B&B, and retail, and eventually food service would be our absolute dream there. So we just wanna move away from those products right now.
No, are you leaving though? I mean, you're not leaving, you still have the property there, right?
Correct.
And you're not planning on selling it?
That is like not part of this conversation, so.
Oh, no, I'm just asking, I mean, we're not losing you, I mean, you're still active in the
Yes.
community,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Right, I
absolutely.
mean, that's what's great. I obviously have a position on this issue, and that I feel it's a distraction from what we should be doing, right? On the other hand, I don't think I've learned, there's been probably a time that I've learned more about just government and the way these things should proceed, or the proceedings of a conditional use permit. And going to the planning meetings, it's challenged Elizabeth. We've got to find out that how good of a job she is really doing right off the bat, and she's doing a great job. And I do know that this was a lot, you know, this took a lot of time for both of you, and a lot of consideration, so it wasn't easy. And I do want to thank you for that. It sounds like you really look deep to not only make the decision to go forward, and now the decision not to go forward. So I appreciate that, and I think anybody who puts their family first is, you know, has got to have credit for what they're doing in the community next. So thank you.
Thank you, we really appreciate it.
Other thanks for, wasn't a waste of time. Wasn't a waste of time.
No, there's a lot to learn.
Yep, but thanks for being in the community though.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely, thank you.
I'm rooting for you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And we're
I'd
excited.
I'd just like to add in that you make whatever decision you want to withdraw, but you've already paid for it, you've gone through everything. There is no harm in holding that CUP and letting it naturally expire. So if you guys would like approval, you can just let it go to waste, or you can withdraw it. I mean, I'm just saying there's no harm in having it.
I mean, we can see if we can close, but, I mean, we can see,
but to, like, right now would be the time to decide if you wanted to go through it. There's no harm in having it.
Okay.
So,
I don't see it. It's not gonna happen, so. We're good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, well, we'll move on to number 8, to approve the cannabinoid product retail license with August. As we have, so I need a a motion? And a
Chris,
second.
do we need any motions for, since?
Need for the withdrawal?
Yeah,
No.
okay.
I mean, you can do a motion acknowledging the withdrawal or whatever, but if you don't formally need it to have it happen, it's just,
Less minutes. Alright, bad joke. Let's go ahead and move on to the next agenda then, approval of the cannabinoid retail license with August. I need a motion and a second, we can discuss that moving forward.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Larry, Lee. All right, Tim, would you like to add anything?
Well, I'd just like to add to what Larry had said. I think when we were originally approving the ordinance for this non-intoxicating cannabinoid product, I believe we agreed at some point in time that we could review and revise this as necessary. And it's too bad that there's this kind of acrimony towards a product that is non-intoxicating and has no health harms as far as I'm aware. And when I hear another business is looking at health and wellness coming into town, I can just see forward, and especially the topicals. I mean, we made a conscious decision to not include, or to include both topicals and edibles in our ordinance. And I would really like us to see, I'd really like to see us go back and review and revise that ordinance, to open the door to not requiring a license for the topicals, and only, really focus on the edibles, because I think topicals, I appreciate the fact that Buck has his expertise in the area, and I would want to go to Buck if I were ingesting something into my body. I think the topicals are at a point where over-the-counter use is just like hand lotion. At this point, it's probably safer than hand lotion because they are approved. So I would really like to see us, planning commission, I would imagine that's where it would start and come to the council. I'd really like to see that process geared up and review and revise the ordinance on that. I mean, this is what we thought might happen when we limited it to 2. It's come to fruition pretty quickly. And now we're tapped out. No one else can request another license. So with that, I'm going to vote in favor of issuing the license, but I would really like us to take a deeper dive into the ordinance again to open the doors up for a broader use.
Thank you. Larry?
I recommend we approve the license with August.
Lee?
Yeah, I recommend we approve the license.
Troy?
I recommend we approve the license.
Well, I do agree that we need to relook at our ordinance, and I think we also need to look at the new ordinance that'll be coming too, but I think, we need to instruct planning to start looking at that and start comparing what other cities our size, or maybe even in our area. Since we've been doing this, we can kind of start doing some digging and see what they're doing, if they're eliminating it. I do believe, I guess lotions and oils are kind of weird that we're eliminating that. But I don't wanna just rip the Band-Aid off, I'd like to do some more digging.
Yeah, sounds good, and I know the concept of the time was to, have it more restrictive because it's easier to peel off those layers, so.
All right, well, let's go ahead and vote on approving the retail license with August. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Next on the agenda is the adopting a moratorium on short-term rentals, number 9. You can fill us in on that. I wasn't at the planning commission meeting, so.
Yeah, sure. Yep, this was initiated by the planning commission. They've been talking about it for a while. On November 8th, 2023, planning commission motion to recommend the adoption of a moratorium on short resolution for specific details on the proposed moratorium. Planning Commission also advised that if the city council does not adopt a moratorium, that Planning Commission would recommend a condition on any new conditional use permit applicants of the expiration of, to have any new applicants expire their application after 1 year of permit issuance. This would allow new applicants to still move forward, but still make them reapply under the new zoning ordinance language. So it's kind of a sort of make everybody happy compromise. So as zoning staff, I strongly agree that the zoning ordinance needs an update regarding the use of short-term rentals. I support the concept of the moratorium, and I also support the concept of any future CUP applications expiring after 1 year, requiring any renewed applicants to follow the new ordinance regulations. If you'd like to stop applications altogether, then I would recommend the attached moratorium. But there's really two different ways to go about this. And I don't know the full history of when exactly the changes for the short-term rentals went into the ordinance, but I do know that there was some changes in 2017. And it looks like they just took short-term rentals and lumped it into the bed and breakfast part of the ordinance. And they're really two different things. And like the fourth or the last condition of the short-term rental and bed and breakfast requirements like doesn't even apply to short-term rentals. And it's very short. So I kind of went through ordinance changes at Polk and Barron County, and they both come up with a list of requirements for short-term rentals. They call them tourist rooming houses. And if you look around to other cities, there is a more rigorous regulation around short-term rentals. So Planning Commission just feels like we're lacking on that control. And from a zoning ordinance perspective, it's in the wrong spot.
Tim, do you have any questions for Elizabeth?
Yeah, I think just one, so that kind of make everybody happy process. So if we issued approved short-term rental previously under the, let's call it the existing ordinance, if we make changes in that ordinance, are they grandfathered in?
Yeah, they're grandfathered in.
Okay.
They're non-conforming, is what it would be called.
What types of things would be on the list that are not included in our ordinance?
It's kind of all over the place. I know one of them, you're pulling on my memory now because this hasn't really been my focus lately. But one would be like marking the property lines.
Marketing?
Marking.
Oh,
like-
marketing property.
Like you said, giving the sorry guys, I'm totally losing it. This is my last item. Giving the renters, the short-term renters, a map of the property and having them clearly mark the property line so that way it reduces trespassing issues. Sending out, like we have, sending out the phone numbers, parking spaces, really anything. You listen to your complaints, and addressing concerns, and I know Brian, the planning commission chair, has already sent me like a bunch of examples of what different cities are doing. I can definitely forward those to you.
Okay, so also if we do adopt a 12-month moratorium and we study the subject and come to an agreement before the end of the 12 months before they get things back. Because I think, bed and breakfast here have become a pretty good business for our city. And I hate to see us, cut that off or discourage anybody else from wanting to get into it. Is there any feeling that there's too many short-term rentals in town? Or?
I think Brian counted like two applicants was right next to another short-term rental, and I know some cities have, controlled proximity. So, they can't be two on the same block, or they have to be X amount of feet apart. I'm not saying that's what we should do, that's just another example of what other cities have done, or you can really control location. One of the main complaints, too, was that if you're a regular resident and then you're surrounded by all short-term rentals, you lose that sense of having a neighbor. Not that those short-term rentals are doing anything wrong. The one lady particularly told me they've all been wonderful as far as being quiet, being compliant. It's just that she doesn't have any neighbors anymore. That's really the only drawback.
Oh, she gets new neighbors every.
Grateful for all those neighbors, right? Those wonderful neighbors. So there's that. Whenever for Polk County, there was just, it really depends on who your neighbors are. There was a lady who particularly complained about any slight trespassing if a kid were to kick a ball across the property line, or that it was increasing traffic on the road. There's some things that, or maybe what kind of activity is going on, and there's, some things that are really out of the zoning's control. I also want to add in, as the person enforcing all of this, is that short-term rentals are really hard to enforce when there are violations, because I don't work weekends, and I don't want to work weekends. And a lot of this activity happens on the weekends, so it's really hard to prove some of these. So I guess just caution you on when you draft it, this is something that we can enforce.
Sort of put Larry's phone number on the.
Yeah.
I don't-
I haven't received any complaints for Taylor's Falls short-term rentals.
No, I don't mind working weekends.
Did they give any indication on how long it's gonna take for them to start looking at this? Do they have a plan in place? Are they gonna start, obviously maybe not December, but January's meeting, or?
Well, yeah, they want to start, they've been wanting to start, but we've had a lot of conditional use permits kind of coming through and, at one meeting a month time frame that they've designated, so they did talk about making some, maybe some additional special meetings on top of the regular planning commission meeting, and I would, so my goal, because zoning is a very seasonally heavy, position, in the spring, I'm not gonna have a lot of time for restructuring zoning ordinances, so my personal goal would to push to have this done before the spring construction rush.
I have a question, I guess, along those lines. You've been very busy lately, we all know that. If we put the brakes on this for 12 months, is that advantageous to you, and possibly the planning commission, just to do some catch up on maybe some zoning things, but some other things as well?
I think it depends on your view on short-term rentals. I guess me personally, obviously, the less I have to do, the more I have other things I can work on to answer that question. But if you're asking me, should we put the brakes on this or not?
No, I'm asking about your workload. Would it be advantageous to you as a zoning administrator if we just kind of put the brakes on it for 12 months? And if we change our mind in 6 months or whatever, are there other things that you can do?
There are definitely other things that I can do.
But to that point, if the least amount of work for you would status quo, we just do nothing and keep bringing short-term rentals here and improving them. If we put a moratorium on it, they have to actively work at revising the ordinance.
Right.
So it's more work putting a moratorium on than it would be status quo, correct?
Correct, but we could still be working on it at the same time. Gosh, I had a train of thought.
Doesn't some of that need your attention, or need our attention, or some of our zoning ordinances, they could use some more attention? Okay.
Yeah, our existing zoning ordinance.
Yeah.
So one thing I was gonna add to that is, provided my workload, I expressed to planning commission commission that if you want to do this, you are going to have to do substantial research. So I'm not doing all the legwork. So do your research, go find what other cities are doing, make your list of what you want. It's really, that's all it really is gonna be, is creating a separate section of the ordinance, maybe right behind the bed and breakfast, but it's a separate short-term rental section, and then listing your requirements. So it's not gonna be as like rigorous as the CBD ordinance was. You know, basically I'm telling them, you do the research, you pull forward to me what conditions you wanna see, and you guys can vote on which ones you want. So I do think it can be done without, too much burden, especially if I am very clear up front that you guys are doing research, because this isn't hard research to do.
Yeah, and it can't take the same course as the cannabinoid, where we put a moratorium in, we, the council, previous council, put a moratorium in, then we did nothing with it for 12 months.
Yeah.
And then it's all of a sudden rush time and.
Yeah, that was really bad.
So.
And I can provide you guys, you know, as the council meetings come up, I can provide you with a general update on the topic if you'd like, to show you that we're moving forward and actually studying it.
Could we do this without imposing a moratorium?
So as Chris has said before, the conditional use permit runs with the property unless otherwise stated. So, Chris, jump in with any additions, but we could, for consistency purposes moving forward, saying any new short-term rentals coming in, gets a condition that it expires after 12 months. So that would say our list of, so they're approved with like a list of what do we have, 4 or 5 conditions, and let's say we approve 10 conditions later, when they reapply, they would be held to those 10 conditions as opposed to the 4 initially. Fritz, you got anything?
No, I mean, you laid it out very nicely. You know, it's, it's a kind of an issue which can be very sensitive, as you know, and it's worth taking some time to do it right. And it's just about, I don't know, good half a dozen, if not more, cities up and down the river have done that, something like that, for that very reason. You know, I think it's one of those things where you find yourself all of a sudden, a bunch of people want to do it. Taylor's Falls is a, you know, very attractive area, has a great reputation, and you have a little industry going and you're not managing it to the detriment of the other people in the city. And so, you know, I've gone through probably about 4 moratoria on this very issue. People are just, you know, on the one hand, you've got people that have got their houses, they want to rent, and who are you to tell them they can't? And it can be very, very difficult. But on the other hand, if you get a standard set of rules that apply to everybody, and you do your study, and you've got that behind you, so you can say, look, we studied it, we looked at it, we were careful about it, makes it a little more defensible.
I just want to kind of add that there's usually like 2 different kinds of short-term rentals. People who have their home, who are like renting it out when they're not there, or say they have acquired an extra home, like in Mr. Gilliard's place. And then there's the flip side where people are purchasing properties, lake properties, you know, attractive properties for tourists, and renting them out as a profitable business just for them. So, I mean, there's that, and I think planning commission feels very strongly, this wasn't like a wish-wash, I just want to forward that they did feel very strongly about the moratorium, kind of for that reason, for people coming in out of town, purchasing properties simply to make profit off of it, so.
Mr. Mayor, it's that second category that tends to generate the most controversy. And I would think that it isn't happening here yet. You're right for that kind of, yeah, I suppose a lot of landowners would say, that's fine. I have no problem selling my house to this, you know, but
Right, yeah.
those things have to be reviewed and considered.
Yeah, review, it's just a matter of looking in, and I try to keep my opinion fully neutral in my position, so.
So if we took the hybrid approach and allowed applicants, approved them, and then, but they had to renew, and one of our ordinance changes was you couldn't have 2 two side by side. A new applicant is next to an old previously approved, would they lose their license then?
Yeah, they would not be able to reapply.
Okay.
Right. Am I allowed to weigh in as the realtor?
Sure.
Well, I mean, so obviously I've been a realtor for 20 years and I have a short-term rental. And some of the issues that people have with short-term rentals, number one, like Tim, I totally get what you're saying, but here's the thing. It is difficult to say, well, we'll keep letting them do it, and then as we ordinate, it's easier to clean up your ordinances ahead of time. So, and I don't think that it's gonna hurt us to do a moratorium for 12 months. I think a lot of people in town would feel like we have too many short-term rentals. It's also about saturation. It's also about the community. How much do we wanna have in the community of homes that are not being lived in by a resident? We have a lot of aging population moving out. We have people coming in and these houses just sit empty. I mean, they got people in them, but they're not residents. So, like, I know I've talked to Brandon about, there's licensing things you guys should be doing as far as generating revenue in the city for licensing people. And there's also about, you wanna be real specific about what is allowed with the short-term rentals. And I know like Polk County, they got pretty strict with theirs and then they had a ton of pushback. Now they're revisiting everything and kinda changing it a little bit. So it's a hard balance, but I think a moratorium is a good thing. I feel like we're getting, there's no affordability anymore, right? There's no affordability in this town. Good luck trying to buy a house in this town. And if you're competing with somebody who wants to use it as a short-term rental, they're paying a ton of money on it. And then the valuation is so high, you're not gonna get residents in here. So, you know, if you wanna keep a community, you gotta really weigh that in with how many you really wanna have. And I'm sure that there's some magical mathematical equation to figure out what is a good saturation point for how many houses and the population. And it's great that we have people that wanna come and stay here. And people that buy these Airbnbs, oh my God, like, those houses are beautiful. But it's just finding the sweet spot, and I think that Elizabeth is doing an awesome job. It's about letting her have the time to really think about this, and like Brandon had said, what I sit down with her on, you know, I deal with cities all the time, go through these things. There's things that she probably wouldn't think about that I would, because I run into it, but there's a lot of weird stuff, and it's nice to be able to give her the chance to clean everything up, so that in a year from now, when we start handing stuff out, it's consistent and it isn't, oh, hey, we changed this 3 months later, oh, by the way, 6 months later, we're doing this. Just my 2 cents.
Yeah, my question was, I was trying to come up with a worst case scenario. Somebody, I know there's risk in business,
Yeah.
but that would be a horrible situation for somebody to be in, and I don't wanna put anybody in that situation where they could lose their business really, because we made an
Right.
ordinance change, so. Cause I can't predict what we might approve.
Yeah.
So, I guess, any other questions?
Well, what we could, approve a moratorium, but make it a priority for the planning commission to, you know, get us a recommendation as soon as they can, so we can vote on it and lift the moratorium, you know, and, so I don't know, you know, what, I don't know, as far as short-term rentals now, we have, you know, several in town, you know, for people that wanna come up for the weekend to go skiing or whatever. But when is the big push for short-term rentals? Is there a peak season for that, or is it the summertime, or?
Well, in here it would be summertime.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, but I mean, Troll Hog and Wild Mountain would pull in a little bit of stuff.
yeah.
But you know, like where mine is, it's on a lake, so I know it's gonna be more summer, but then it's also gonna be more snowmobiling season. And then the slow time is usually, the slowest time is gonna be that really gross time, like where there's no snow and everything is mud and you can't do anything fun. That's the slowest time, so like that's gonna be your slowest point. Otherwise, you got like the leaf tour, and then you got snowmobiling, skiing.
Do you have anybody currently on your desk right now that's gonna be?
I do. 400 military.
Which
Which one on
It's
military?
gonna be what?
This
I
one?
think it's 400.
somebody that wants to come in front of us.
Another short term? Okay. I'm just, thank you for everybody for their input, but to me, it's either, hypothetically, if you believe that the market or the short-term rental market in Taylor's Falls is saturated at this point, if that's the case, then we're either arguing, you know, have the moratorium or put conditions on it that we can just saturate it even more for the next year, you know. It just seems obvious to me that at this point, it's that take a deep breath, and I think this is an opportunity that we should take advantage of, and I'm in favor of this moratorium.
And that one on military is a designated historical home, and we already have issues with some of those historical homes. They're not following the designated guidelines that they're required to follow. So that's on top of short-term rental stuff and has to be factored in as well.
So I don't want to unnecessarily tie the hands or create follow deadlines for the planning commission, but I could support a 12-month moratorium if it's made very clear to the planning commission that this is a priority and that Elizabeth's time is going to start getting eaten up when April comes, and that our expectation would be that we want to see something come to council by April.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too. I don't wanna, if this is the push that we need to accomplish what we've been saying, cause we've had this discussion a few months ago that, you know, and I know we've talked about it at the planning commission meetings about the moratorium, and then we've just kind of pushed it aside. So if this is what they feel we need to get everything updated and correctly done, so we're not hurting bed and breakfasts, and people can still do that if they wish and separate them, I'm all for it. I guess I'll need a motion and a second to approve resolution 2023-11-00, an ordinance providing a moratorium on new conditional use permits for short-term rentals in the city of Taylor's Falls.
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2023-11-00.
I'll second.
Add priority. Deadline.
Well, it's a year. I mean, we could just send them a note saying this is it, but we need to make sure that you're done by April.
Well, I'll second the motion, and if that's a qualifier we want to add, we can. But technically, we should, we move it forward from motion to actual discussion. And then
Well, we got a second, so we can discuss the resolution now. So if you want to add, we can add.
I would add.
Okay. So let's go ahead and add under section 2. It starts, I guess you want to put under section 2 that the planning commission
make it a priority.
makes it a priority and that the ordinance is completed to council by our first meeting in April 2024. Just making sure they're writing it down.
Planning commission makes it a priority
Well, they
to.
have to
Section 2, planning commission
Yep.
makes it a priority to.
redo the ordinance and have it to council by April, the first meeting in April 2024.
What about like provide, ordinance proposal
Yeah.
to city council?
All right, sounds good.
So for the minutes, it's like really important, we have the exact wording, so you guys just.
But the
I
provide-
guess what sounds good isn't good enough. I need to make that.
Provide recommendations on short-term rental ordinance.
Okay.
Good. Anything else we want to add? Okay. All right, well, all those in favor of passing the resolution with our addition to it of 2023-11-00, say aye.
Aye.
Next up is consideration of pursuing state reimbursement for emergency response calls to Interstate Park.
this up, what meeting were we at? Was that a budget meeting or?
Budget.
Was it budget meeting? Yeah. And we discussed this a little bit, and I went to Jake, sent him an email. The email with my questions, and his responses are in the packet. You know, he's in favor of it. And he told me, or suggested to me, that there was a time when we were reimbursed for our emergency response calls to Interstate Park. I didn't see anything in the minutes. It's not something that would be easy to look for. I did get a hold of Sergeant Jones with the Chisago County Sheriff's Department. He did get back to me. He said, as for the Interstate Park question, the Sheriff's Office has never been financially reimbursed for calls for service. My understanding is that state parks are tax exempt, and for us, simply part of our jurisdiction. When there are drownings, lengthy search and rescues, the county pays lots of overtime. That's what happens for him. Maybe, now this is Mr. Canuck, maybe the city attorney would have more knowledge and could put some feelers out on other cities might be doing. So,
Well, before Fritz responds, I'd like to just mention that we at one time were receiving funds from the state called PILT money, P-I-L-T, payment in lieu of taxes. And that's because of having the interstate park here, we could not develop that property, so we were paid this PILT money to compensate us for that. And that money went towards rescues.
so do you know what happened? Why did it stop?
Yes. Back when Governor Pawlenty was slashing the budget, he took money from these education funds and he cut our PILT money to balance his budget. So, to get this ball rolling again, I would recommend speaking to Representative Mark Coran to, see if he could get somebody's ear down there to let them know that, we're here, we do the rescues, and we don't get compensated for it.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Anything else? I can, we'll go forward with that. That'll be my next call. We'll start with him.
Yeah, I think that's what we need to do. I mean, there's a surplus. Maybe they'll send a little.
Yeah.
I'm totally for it if we can. I mean, it's, and I know we talked about too, in the note, it said that they have sent bills in the past. And it's hit or miss if they get paid. And I know we talked about that in the budget with Fritz. I think you said that it doesn't hurt. And so I think we need to continue doing that, but I think next step is St. Paul.
Yeah, well, Jake brought up to me, even something like a rope. Okay, now that's one of the least expensive equipment pieces that the fire department has. But proportionally, the Taylor's Falls Fire Department, because of the types of calls they get to Interstate Park, will use that rope more often than another fire department. So even that has to be checked and reach quality standards, every year, 2 years, whatever. And it's all that more important and more costly for even our fire department than some of the others. So I think we should look into this. And I think we might need a vote on this, but I hope we're all in agreement that we should push forward. I will make that call, and if anybody else has any ideas, please let me know.
Just for some background, the DNR has some information on payment in lieu of taxes. Evidently, it looks like it's still a program, but I think it's been shrunk. Okay. I'm not sure exactly what it covers now, but the old one did cover, in 2015, I think it was, did cover law enforcement expenses and other expenses.
I don't know if we need to vote on you speaking,
Okay.
Mark. I don't think there's a resolution or anything. It's just more information. We can put back on as old business when you get back from.
Okay.
And, Mr. Mayor, I could certainly explore what was suggested before about the possibility of billing, not the state, but whoever the individuals are that are requiring services.
Okay, that'd be great.
assigned, that was something that had been discussed, and that has to do with their insurance companies, perhaps, banks. I'll look into that, see what other cities are doing.
Okay, thank you, Fritz. Any other discussion on that? Okay. We'll move on to number 11, approving the certification to the county for the unpaid water bills. Mary's not here, but I have to give her a big shout out because she's collected quite a bit. Her goal was, I think her goal was 20,000, right, Michelle? And she got just over that, just on her deadline, so she did. So, but she took 100% of this under her wing. It wasn't directed by anybody. She went out and tried to figure out how to get some of these back. So, you know, thank you and kudos to her, and thank you for helping her in the office as well. Moving forward, we need to vote for this to be able to go to the county. So we'll need a motion in a second. On the back side of the sheet, you guys can see the addresses that are behind, and this, if we vote on it, they have until the end of the year to pay us still. But if not, it'll go on their property taxes.
I'll make a motion that we certify these delinquencies to the county.
I'll second it. All right, we got a second by Larry. Any discussion?
Question on the wording at the bottom. I'm sorry, page 210, at the very bottom, sentence, any payments received after council approval and before the information has been sent to the county for certification will be removed if the property owner has indicated it should be removed. So, aren't they removed because they've made the payment? Okay, wouldn't that be better wording then? Okay. Because otherwise, somebody could just come up and say it should be removed, and then we're supposed to do it. That's not the issue. Okay, if we could make that change.
Lee? Nope. Tim, anything else to add?
No, I agree with you. Mary's done a really nice job on this. And it's adding to our revenues, so, which is helpful, especially in the water fund.
Okay. Well, I need a motion in a second.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Yeah, we already did. I'm sorry. So we can go ahead and vote then. No other questions are. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next would be number 12, the voter account fund allocation agreement. Page 211 in the packet is where it starts. 212, I guess. And from what I remember Mary telling me about this is we just need to approve this so that it goes back to the county, and the county is gonna handle all this instead of the city, and it was only for $62.69. So this is for the election coming up in March. And so they're gonna handle it all. We don't have to, if we get it back. If we don't get the $62 back, then we have to do everything, call the judges and do all the work, send out mailers and all that stuff. The $62 doesn't cover it. This money was given from the state to the county distributed it all, and every city got a different amount, and that's the amount we got, so.
This is probably the easiest decision we'll ever make.
I know, I asked her, I said, can you just return to sender, and she said, no, we gotta vote on it, so, I need a second, or a motion and a second, and then we can discuss any, or we can just go ahead and vote, whatever you wish to do.
I'll make a motion to accept the voter account fund.
I'll second.
All right. Any questions? Troy?
Nope.
Lee? No. Larry?
No.
Tim?
Well, just to be clear, the city isn't accepting the fund, we're transferring it to the county.
Yeah.
So just to be clear for the minutes. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, we're not taking it. So, right, well, let's go ahead and vote then if there's no other questions. All those in favor of returning the voter fund allocation agreement to the county, say aye.
Aye.
All right, next one, electric service repair in South Lions Park.
I can take this one. Earlier this year, a large branch fell from one of the big white pine trees down at the South Lions Park, and it damaged the electrical service. It pulled the cable out, broke the mast, damaged the meter box, similar to what happened at the North Park about 2 years ago. Kevin received a proposal from Andre Electric. I think Lee and I have both reviewed that. I think Lee, seen it. I did bring it to our Lions Club meeting last week as well, because we have a electrician on our team. And we both thought it was a really good proposal. In fact, we were a little surprised it was so low. So I think they're probably cutting us a deal because of the park. So it exceeds Kevin's approval level, so we had to bring it here for council approval. And it just, as an aside, I wanted to let everybody know, in January, the Lions Club will be coordinating with Public Works and Excel Energy to take that tree down. Their work orders are out till January 10th. That's the earliest we can get them. So Andre will do the work connecting from one of the poles to the pavilion. That work will be finished. They'll drop the main line from the road, and then they'll take the tree down and put it back up. So we'll have lights again down there.
Thank you, Tim.
Oh, and the Lions Club is covering all the costs associated with the tree removal and cleanup. So that's not gonna be a city, cost of the city.
Larry, any questions?
You definitely have to have lights down there, because otherwise it's dark as can be, especially on the, the boat landing at night. So I'm in favor of this,
Lee, anything you want to add?
No, it looks good.
Troy?
No, it looks great, it's a great deal. Another opportunity for me to thank the Lions Club for everything they do for not only our parks, but our city. They're gonna be helping Lighting Festival, and they're hands-on all the time. And the big one's coming up this Friday.
Correct.
Okay.
Everybody come. Shameless plug.
All right, well, let's go ahead and motion and second then to pass or approve the Andre Electric.
make the motion.
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, moving on to number 14, annual maintenance contract for the municipal building. We need a new HVAC unit, heating and air conditioning. I know they got it fixed, but it's not gonna last long, so.
Correct.
We have a bid from Aerotech in the packet. I hope everybody got to read that, and then also from Top Tier.
Correct. Yep. Public Works recommends the council approve Aerotech for the maintenance agreement. While they're $105 higher, they did recently, were awarded a bid to install the new rooftop unit. They did come in cheaper on that. They've been very responsive to our needs. It's our intent that Public Works start performing the filter replacements going forward. That was one of the add-ons for both proposals, so we're saying don't accept those, just the basic maintenance agreement would be it. We'll be sure that all the rooftop units are adequately serviced. They've not been very well maintained over the years, but Kevin and Paul are on it. So with Aerotech, we'll hopefully be able to extend the life of the 4 other units.
So this will be $450 cheaper, as it says here, for the furnace supplied and installed furnace filter.
Yeah, just the rooftop maintenance agreement. So for Aerotech, I forget what the cost was. It was like $1,400, something like that.
Aerotech's estimate was $18,500.
Minus the 450 for filters.
Minus the
$1,355. So the recommendation is to approve Aerotech at $1,355. I guess I could make that motion as long as I got it here. I'll make the motion that we approve Aerotech, the Aerotech proposal for maintenance agreement at $1,355. Do I have a second?
Second.
Yeah.
All right. Any discussion, Troy?
So this RTU replacement here is just an estimate at this point.
We approved the RTU replacement at an earlier meeting.
Okay.
Both firms included maintenance agreements on their proposals. We rejected them at that time. Well, I shouldn't say we rejected them. We didn't vote on the maintenance agreements at that time. So we got it back here.
So it's already been approved, that's,
I mean,
it kind of
this is just
stands out.
Yeah.
You know, at $13,000.
Yep, yep. I
Nope.
think that was a month ago, maybe?
Yeah.
2 meetings ago?
Somewhere, I think it was the last one.
Was it the last one? Oh, Michelle informs us the install is on the 16th.
Okay, great.
Okay.
I'm good.
Good, good. All right, any more
Good.
questions?
No.
Good. All right, let's go ahead and vote, for Aerotech to do the maintenance, minus the filters. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, next on the list, would be, setting a special meeting date for Mary Townend's severance agreement discussion.
We have one more, the furnace.
Oh. Yeah, I'm sorry, you're right, yep. Sorry. All right, let's go ahead and discuss the furnace replacement for community center. So we need to approve the proposal.
I'm just gonna start out with the motion.
Yep, please do.
I recommend, make a motion that we approve, the proposal for Top Tier at, to replace one of the 2 furnaces at the community center.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, just a little background, we have 2 furnaces there. The furnace that has failed provides heat and air conditioning to the main floor. There's one that serves the lower level. So this is for the main floor. Number of things wrong with it. It's not to the point of red tag, like the heat exchanger isn't leaking or there's no carbon monoxide going to it, but they had to bypass some other things just to keep it running when it was cold out. So this is to replace that unit and dispose of the existing. Top Tier's proposal was $675 lower. They also have been very responsive when called upon. Both the brands, Train and Rudd, are good units. Don't have any issues with either one of their proposals per se. But given that Top Tier was $675 lower, I think that's the direction we should go.
Larry?
Yeah, I agree, Tim, but is there another maintenance agreement with this too?
It shouldn't be on that. They're a simpler unit. Public Works just needs to make sure it's on their list. Filter replacements.
Did they look at the other unit?
Yeah, the other unit looked, I don't know the history, but they're 2 different units. So one may have been replaced already, I'm not sure about that.
He says close to red tag?
No, I said it's not been red tagged.
It has not,
So-
but.
Right, so it's able to continue functioning until it can get replaced, and as compared with the heat exchanger were leaking, they red tag it and turn it off and we couldn't use it. Okay.
That looks like actually a pretty good price to me.
Yeah.
So, that's good.
No, that looks good. Train's a good furnace.
All right, well, let's go ahead and vote to approve the proposal for Top Tier at the community center. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Number 16, casual employee for snow removal. Kevin's asking for help.
Yeah. So I'm attest, and I don't know, I think Lee can probably as well, just the fact that last winter was a tough one. We were short-staffed, we had heavy snows, and we would like not to have that repeat itself. So like we have seasonal employees in the summer, Public Works is requesting and recommending we hire a seasonal casual position for the winter. They'd only be called upon if the demands and the situation required it. Paul went down with emergency surgery last winter, and Lee and I were, or Lynn and I were out plowing snow and throwing sand. So it's not something that would be in play every time it snowed. Another, what adds to the situation is Paul's son was worked as seasonal employee. He was able to come in and help. In seasons past, he's not able to do that anymore. So we kind of had one. This would be specific for the winter though. Neither of our other two seasonal employees are qualified to do this at this point in time. They may be at some future date, but not for this winter. So just ask the council to give Kevin the authorization to move forward with putting somebody on the payroll. So all the paperwork is done, and if we need them to work, we can just call them.
Does he have somebody in mind?
He does.
Can we interrupt?
Yes.
We moved, number 4 to 15 new business, we're on right now, the Mary's meeting.
Oh.
What do you want to do with that?
Oh, I thought we moved it to the end.
Well,
I did
think
too,
he's-
because I was looking at the front page and I
You
forgot
got
to
it.
flip it, so I messed up. Well, we can't have 2 15s for it, so I messed up and I moved Mary's severance agreement discussion to number 15.
Well,
We
my
already have
understanding was
it.
the intent was to put it at the end.
Yeah,
So
that
I
was
think
the
that would be the
intent.
way to reflect it, put it at the end,
Okay.
unless you would rather have it on 15 and we kind of do what you said. It's a possibility, of course.
Put it at
So can I
21.
just change the numbering on that?
Right. I'm assuming that that's the
That's
understanding
what I
of the
meant.
council, that would be reflected.
So would Kevin be the one doing, apparently Kevin has someone in mind, right?
Yes.
Okay, and he beat the hiring, beat doing the hiring?
Yeah,
and
just like the other
supervisor?
seasonal. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as a department head, he can hire.
Yeah.
So he has that responsibility.
Anything good?
No.
Is there any-
Could this person take care of the shoveling at the library then too?
Public Works does.
Yeah.
This
Well,
person would not, this person would only be called upon in times of dire need.
Well,
So,
last winter they had somebody
how did it?
that shoveled down there because the Public Works is busy plowing. And they couldn't get,
I'm not aware.
I
of
shoveled it
it.
once.
yeah.
What do
Well,
you
no,
do?
there was a. they had a
That should be our
younger-
primary responsibility.
They had a younger guy or whatever, I think it was, shovel down there.
Just me.
Was it?
I did it once, I don't know how anybody else did, I did, I threw my shovel and I went down.
Relatively speaking, then.
Good,
Just,
question though, yeah.
just a question about it, yeah.
I'll still help, but I don't think we're gonna get much snow this year, so.
Is that super El Nino?
Question for you, as far as payroll goes, I mean, if it's a temporary staff, I mean, would it be more advantageous for us to move them to like Express since we've already used them in the past? And just let them take all, like, work comp on their liability?
That I don't know. I mean, if it were me administratively, this person might not work an hour. And there's a fee associated with their hourly rate, so I'm not, I don't know, but I wouldn't.
No, that's fine.
If I were the temp agency. If we're an ongoing thing, probably.
Okay.
But, in this situation, I don't think it would be reasonable.
That's fine. We can go ahead and vote if you'd like. All those in favor of, allowing Kevin to, hire, temporary snow removal for the winter, say aye.
Aye.
Next is, yeah, thank you. Next would be Kevin, he passed his water license test. Congratulations on Kevin. for that.
Yep, really just FYI and kind of for the record, he's now got both his licenses, so he's accomplished what he was supposed to do per his agreement, employment agreement. Last thing we have is, I think maybe next on the agenda, the third thing was his annual, or his 6-month review, so. And we did receive his increase on this past pay period.
So, any questions on the water licensing?
Congratulations, Kevin.
Very well done.
So now we have
Roll
2
in.
fully qualified public works in place.
That's good. We can just kind of roll right into that then. Number 18 was 6-month review, set a date, the process.
Yep, so I don't know if I should make a motion, just, I make a motion that we set a date and time for, Kevin Gruber's 6-month performance review.
I second.
Okay, so just for some background, the personnel policy manual states that an employee who's a new employee, not through promotion, has their performance evaluated at least twice during their probationary period, which is a year. So in Kevin's employment agreement, it stated, and we approved that after 6 months and he satisfactorily met all the requirements, that he'd get a $1 increase an hour. And then his second review would be within that first 12-month period. His data hire was March 14th, I think. The personnel policy manual is pretty clear on that, but it doesn't give any direction, or it's not prescriptive in how those reviews are handled. Just say they have to be done. So I thought I'd come up with some options for the council to consider and make a decision on how they want to proceed with this review. We could have the full council hold an open meeting and have Kevin's performance review. We could allow the 2 public works liaisons to conduct the review, so that would be Lee and I. Lee and I could conduct the review, but we could have input from the other council members that was provided to city staff, and they could put together a summary on that. Lee and I work extremely closely with Kevin. Brandon, you work pretty darn closely. I wasn't sure how closely enough.
Enough to make a review.
So there might be another option that I didn't think of, but those were the 3 I could come up with.
Be in favor of a full council open meeting review.
Lee?
We might have a comment from the city attorney here.
Oh. You're so quiet.
Well, it's just like watching it on cruise control. I come here all ready for bad things to happen and you fail me.
Well, thanks for being prepared.
Sorry. But no, it's, you know, if you're doing a review, ordinarily what happens is that's a closed meeting unless the employee wants it to be an open meeting. So, I mean, transparency is a wonderful thing, but when you're dealing with employees, they're the ones that ultimately get to decide whether it's gonna be open or closed.
And what about the 1 or 2 council members versus the whole council?
You can do it either way. I mean, it's, I think the circumstances are such here where having the whole council do it your own, you would probably appreciate the feedback, you know, if I were an employee from all of you rather than getting it indirectly, but it's your call.
And I would be in favor of a closed meeting review for Kevin, unless he requests that it be open. Full council. And willing to schedule tonight, so. we can work it out.
Just another note, by his letter of employment, this, if he successfully comes through the 6-month review, we need to make that increase retroactive to what would have normally been his 6-month review, because it would have been in September. And I did talk to him about it. He was okay, understood that we were going through budgeting and hiring, and So he's okay with that, so he's understanding. But we shouldn't wait much longer to schedule it.
Do we wanna do it on December 14th? Lump it all together, have a closed meeting and then go into our last meeting of the year, sure. I'm not trying to push the next topic on anybody, date-wise, but does that work with the
December 14th, you said?
Yeah.
Thursday. Good.
So like start at 4:30?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tim, you said personnel policies at all, everybody's supposed to get a 6-month review?
That's what it says.
Okay. That
Yes.
would land me in December as well.
It says they, I believe the way it's worded. Okay, where is it? There is a should somewhere in there. I think it's for the second review. Employees should have a second review.
You've been here 6
Yeah.
months already? Holy cow.
So I guess my question is, do I have to come to you in December and ask you to schedule it for January, or do we just add me to December?
Well, it has to be an agenda item. Yeah, we can't add it right now. We could add it at our next meeting though, that we'll discuss on number 21. We can put that on that agenda. I'll make note.
Okay. Okay, so have we had a motion?
I'll make a motion, if not, make a motion to have Kevin Gruber's,
Yeah, we already have the motion,
Okay.
second, we just need to finalize the date.
Got it,
So we
okay.
got
Oh, I
that.
didn't catch the second, I don't,
It's Larry.
So we had the motion, landed on December 14th at 4:30.
Yep.
Okay. Subject to Kevin's availability.
Yeah.
We'll check that tomorrow.
Pretty sure you've been available.
Yeah, I would think so. You never know.
And then if he wants it open, make sure that you let us all know, send us an email, so we can post it. You can post it that it's closed too. Okay, any other discussion on the 14th? Okay, all those in favor of, review with Kevin December 14th at 4:30 PM, say aye.
Aye.
All right, on to number 19, express bill pay, resident credit card usage per month.
This is just really something we committed to providing updated information on back when we implemented the program. November's billing cycle just started, so that's why it's so low, but some nice activity there.
It's nice to see everybody's using it, or not everybody, but a lot of people are. Have we had anybody, do we know of anybody that's wanted to come in and be able to swipe yet? Have you gotten any requests? No? Okay.
I'm just people calling and asking for me to do it,
Okay.
but not like.
Any questions?
Nope.
Lee? No. There you go. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate you putting that in there. Number 20, discussing, moving our December 11th meeting, council meeting. This is the meeting that we're going to approve our budget after the truth and taxation the week before. I'm not here on the 11th, and I'd really like to be here for us all to do it. If it doesn't work for you all, if you wanna have a meeting on 11th, that's fine, I get it. But I was wondering if we could move the 11th meeting to the 14th at 6 PM.
Well, I'll make a motion that we move the December 11th council meeting to December 14th, starting at 6 PM.
I'll second it. Thank you. Any discussion? Troy?
Oh, it's good for me.
Lee? Good?
No, good.
Good. Tim?
I'm good.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. All right, let's go ahead and vote, moving the December 11th meeting to December 14th at 6 PM. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, final topic of discussion will be setting a special meeting date for Mary Tommins' severance agreement. As a council, we need to pick a date to sit down and finalize the agreement that was provided and ongoing behind the scenes legally between our lawyer and her lawyer, deciding on the severance agreement, but we need to do it as a council when it's finalized. So I need a motion and a second and a date. I can tell you that it would, if we could do it next week, it would be, yeah, the Monday or Tuesday of next week would be great if we can put that down. I'm not sure if it works for.
Monday is good for me, but after that, it's gonna have to be after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
20th works for me, Bureau.
Citizens Academy for one more week on the 20th, so.
Could we do it, can we do it in the morning? And you can make it Monday?
And maybe kind of pushing it though, Mr. Mayor, if I can just offer that, you may want to wait till Thanksgiving.
Okay. We could do that, yeah, I just going off what I've been requested by
I understand.
our employee. She set a date that she would like to be done at the end of the month, and so I'm just trying to honor that, but if we can't agree as a council, we'll have to push that out. So, we can do it after Thanksgiving if that works for everybody, and that way we'll have enough information. I'm fine with that.
Is that severance package, is it done?
No.
Is it written? Okay, so we'd be, this is, all right. Thanks.
So that, well, you could go the last week, 27th, 28th, 29th. 30th.
27th,
That'd be a regular meeting date.
right.
Is it the Monday?
Is this open meeting or closed?
I believe this is an open meeting, right, Fritz?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gone till the 28th.
I can make it work any day that week. So,
Monday evening, I can work that one in, Monday evening. What date around again, 27th, you said? Okay.
Or the 29th, Larry?
Well, I'll be home late on the evening of the 27th, so
Okay.
the 28th on is fine with me. Morning, afternoon, evening.
Do we wanna do it in the morning or in the evening?
So we are now at morning of the 28th, correct?
Yeah.
That would work.
That sounds good to me.
6 a.m.?
That doesn't sound.
Make 5, bring it up.
4:30. What, 8
Nine.
a.m. work?
9? Oh.
8, 8 or 9? Would 8 work?
8 is good for me.
Well, yeah, 8 will work. Is that 8 work?
Oh, yeah,
Cause you have to take minutes.
yeah, and I can make anything work.
Can you work? Okay. 8 a.m.
I wasn't even thinking about me, I was like.
Fritz, do you wanna get up really early and come up here at 8 a.m. or would you like it different?
Well, we're talking the 28th.
Yeah.
I'm actually scheduled in Anoka at 9:30, so 8 would be best for me.
Okay.
I'm gonna be. That's gonna be a fun day.
So you didn't look happy about it.
So November 28th, 8 a.m.
8 a.m. Okay.
Sure. So Fritz can go.
All right, so, we have a motion and a second to set a special meeting for Mary Tommins severance agreement for the 28th, at 8 a.m.
Yes, but can I ask a question?
Please do.
So,
So go ahead.
so Fritz, is the drafting of the agreement attorney-client privileged at this point? Until it comes to the open meeting? And my question is, relates to what can we see before?
Oh, you'll see
meeting.
something before then.
Okay.
It's just, attorney-client applies to the outside, you know, stuff that's going on while it's going on is available to you as council members.
Okay.
But right now, we're not there yet.
Okay.
You know, it's, I think some more discussion will have to occur.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, let's go ahead and vote to set the date for the 28th at 8 AM. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we made it through all the trees that were taken down, that were regrown. Thank you all for sticking with us, I appreciate it, I appreciate your support. Thank you gentlemen up here, you guys have been awesome. I'm honored to be up here with you all, and I just need a motion in a second to close.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor of adjourning our meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All together now.
You are-
Did you take pictures?
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you.
Probably, I haven't cropped it, yeah.
I'm glad I took the time.
Yeah. And then write up the details. Yeah.
Thank you.
Phone number? Oh, excellent. I will call you if I need to raise it. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Phone number? Oh, excellent. I will call you if I need to raise it. Okay.